really nice tonight, Ryan.
Oh, thank you.
Rebound taken. Rebound taken by Iguodala. Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. LeBron James with the rejection.
Cleveland, this is for you.
Come here to cleanse your soul. Yeah, 4-4 and go. That the other getting old. We got Sam right in time. This is a sports octagon. Sports for forever and beyond. Spend it with Sam Ryan time. From the puck to the glove to the pigskins high. Share all of your thoughts, just let it ride. Down the baseline in the bleachers, or you wanna get denied. Yeah, share all of your thoughts, just let it ride. 4-4 and go. Come here to cleanse your soul. Yeah, it's 4-4 and go. Come here to cleanse your soul.
The Browns Super Bowl contenders.
Hey, listen, when we start talking about what wins Super Bowl, we talk about talent. The Browns, they have the talent. They have it.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, 4-4 and Goal proudly brings to you, I don't even know what episode, to be totally frank, 29,
It's
maybe
not much of your
26,
screen.
244 millionth episode this month. We've been running straight through. It's been wild. Thank everyone so much for joining. Pump, a lot of great stuff to talk about tonight from, let me just look, because I'm not going to lie to you, I haven't been part of the show pregame for the past week, the way my week has went, but from mandatory mask with COVID to Lindor. Is it fair? Delete 8 Chicago or Elite 8 Chicago. I'm sorry. And then
For
Elite eight,
gotta
first
get-
time. God damn.
what was it?
It's
Delete 8
Delete 8.
Chicago.
Yeah, delete
Yeah,
8. You
well,
got it.
I don't know what's going. Yeah, or whatever. I don't know
Yeah,
what's
you'll
going
figure
on.
it
To be
out.
honest,
Don't worry about it. You'll
with you.
figure it out.
And then getting into some, we like to cross, to walk the line a little bit of the Redskins. So
Johnny Cash.
what's going on with them, yeah, or Johnny Cash. But like always, this way, that way, there it is. We got Big Time Sam kicking it to the left of me. Big Time Tom wearing that Dunder Mifflin gear.
It's
I'm
true.
repping the T-ball Tigers, or I'm sorry, Coach Pitch Tigers. You can't even get my own son stuff right.
Is that Owen?
Who, by the way, Sam got smacked in the face with the ball today, but
Yes.
No.
it was off a hit, and I felt
did?
bad. So here was just no,
Wait a minute,
no.
you did or
Owen,
the
I
kid?
didn't hit him. The kid. So Owen
Oh,
was on
geez.
third base, and one of the kids got up there and hit a liner, bounced off the ground once, and my son was on third base actually as a runner. And the ball skipped off the ground, banked him in the face. I mean, it was a hot one, though. It was hot. And I mean,
Development. It's character
Yeah.
development. Always gonna
I'll
thank
give
that
him a
guy
lot of
in-
props. Yeah, I'll give him a lot of props because he almost cried, but he sucked it
cry?
up and a little bit. It was more of a whimper.
Okay.
It wasn't like a full blown
okay.
out like
Okay.
feel bad for me because I got blasted in the face with a baseball. It was more along the lines of, damn it, this kind of hurt. I don't know what to do, and there's
So
everyone's
what you're
watching me.
saying is he dorned it.
He dorned it. Yeah.
He dorned
Yeah.
it. Roger Dorn. Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Roger
Yeah,
dorned it.
I could go with that. But I'll give him props because I said, listen, you got to go home. You got to touch home plate on your way home. You know what I mean? On the way through. Give him a hug, give him a kiss. He ran, touched home plate. And that was it for the game. He was a little shook up from it. I think he was more, shocked. I don't
Yeah.
think anyone ever was
Pride.
ready to get
Probably
beamed with a
pride
baseball.
little bit too.
Yeah,
A
I
little
think,
bit of
I
pride,
think it
yeah.
was his pride, which was, it was good, though, because it's a good learning experience. And like I told him, I said, guess what? That's the worst it's going to get, buddy. Like, because it was a shot. Like, I'm not sitting
Yeah.
here saying, you know what I mean?
Listen,
That it
until
wasn't-
you
it was a
play-
round
until you
ball
got
that
hit
bounced
with the
off.
baseball, you haven't played baseball.
Nope.
Whether it's in the
I got hit in the
batter's
face
box,
in the batting cage.
in
I
the
gotta thank-
batter's box, in the field,
you, Josh.
anywhere, unless you felt the pain of getting pegged with what seems like a 400-pound rock, you
Right.
haven't played baseball.
Right.
So he's ready.
It
Yeah.
Took
doesn't.
the
Yeah.
mystique off of it. He knows he can live through it now. Now he can
I
start.
give him,
Now he can start being
I-
Big O and hit dingers.
yeah.
Should we give him
I'll
a round of
props.
applause? Give him
Right,
a round
yes.
of applause real quick.
Give him a round of applause to Owen. Yeah, good job, buddy. I know you're not watching and you're probably playing Minecraft
No, 'cause
upstairs.
this
Could
is
give
a
it
Fortnite,
clap.
so-
He deserves that
Right.
Fortnite.
Right.
Deserves that tonight.
Yeah, he did
I might
good,
get on
though.
with it.
Proud of him.
I might get
And I'll
on
give him
with him.
props. He's getting a swing, man. Like, but he's so out of control with that swing. The first time, it's like full blown. I'm going to swing at this thing as hard as I can and hope I hit it. Then the second pitch, it's like, all right, I'm going to take it a step back, and if I don't hit it then I'm just going to swing normal and just hit the ball. Like, he Jim
bless him.
Tommy's it, basically. He Jim Tommy's it.
There
I'm
you
going
go.
to go with
That's
that.
what you get for idolizing
I like
him
it.
so much. Congratulations.
Yep.
There you go.
He
You
Jim
made a
Tommy's
kid
it.
who hits dingers and can't play third. As proven by tonight.
Yeah,
But
buddy.
anyways,
It's your fault.
yeah. So I was very proud of him. Very proud of him as a father. Good proud father night. Whatever you want to call it, evening.
Hell yeah,
He
dude.
did good.
That's
he
awesome.
did good. So what's up in your guys' lives?
Well, it's
That's a
way
hot
too hot for me
nothing.
to go outside, so I'm not doing anything outside anytime soon.
Oh God.
That's about it. Before people start roasting me about my little Puerto Rican jewelry, I'm just letting you know this is the look I'm going for. So
Yes.
Yeah, boy.
no, that's
Oh,
about it.
yeah.
You know what? We got the day off work. It was nice. It was needed. Relaxing day for us here. Getting
been
ready
nice.
for the kids to come home. So I'm pretty psyched about that on Monday.
Mhm.
Yep. And then we're gonna go do some stuff tomorrow, and then maybe catch up with you guys again. What about you, Tom?
So this is a rarity in the Roth household. Wyatt is not home tonight. He is at another location visiting, and
Is
Megan is going
undisclosed,
to.
I take it. You said it like it was like James Bond, and like he may have a button that sends everyone out of the car on their way.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah. So Wyatt's at his dad's tonight. Wyatt's visiting with his dad tonight, which I'm glad about.
Nice.
Need that time together. It's always sad when he's not at home though, because I mean, anyone who knows me, I love that kid. I love spending time with him. But Megan is also going to work. She gets some holiday pay tonight. So after this show, it's sweatpants, no shirt, and video games type of night for Tom tonight. It's going to be cathartic, I feel.
One of these?
Sounds like a corn. Yep.
Yeah.
One of those, baby.
And I committed sacrilege today as a Chevy sales. I sold a Dodge Ram today, new, at a Ram store. I didn't sell these ones, so I kind of stung, but what are you going to do? Money's money. Yeah, $20 is $20.
I will say, as a parent, isn't it the weirdest thing? I mean, maybe so. Sammy's got 3 kids, but me and Tom have 1 each. So you may have not felt this, but when your kid is gone for the night, I almost feel guilty.
Yep.
Like I feel like there's something wrong, and I worry about him the whole time, even though it's probably with his grandparents. Yeah. Weren't going to do anything but like let him do whatever the hell he wants anyways. Oh, so sure. I always have a guilty feeling. Yep. And I know you don't, Sammy, because you got 3. Yep. I think it's the only child. Only child syndrome as a father.
Yeah, it's such a rarity to have all 3 of them kids out of this house at the same time. That the only thing I'm trying to get used to is why I'm not hearing anything banging around upstairs.
Shaking or breaking or someone yelling. Sure. Like Wyatt's dad, he's a good dad, man. Him and I might not see eye to eye on a lot of things, but that's gonna happen. We try. But I know Wyatt's safe. But the thing is like you said, Ryan, you can't help but worry. Like, hey, like it just kind of stinks a little bit that he's not here, but it'll be a quiet house.
Right. I was gonna say, I'll bet Sammy had it at one point in time. You know what I mean?
No, well, the thing is I had
momentarily.
I had the girls back to back, so the older 2 are about 18 months apart. So, and to be honest with you, Mia wouldn't leave the house until she was about 5. So because she had to, that's just how she was. So by that time, I mean, Gianna reminds me of my sister Lisa. She can't wait to get the hell out. She's gone.
Oh God!
Before you can say the word. She's ready.
God. Do you want to? Yes.
Yeah. All right. Cool. And then now we've got the littlest Hellraiser, and I forgot how much fun it is to have.
That's a cute kid, man. That is a cute baby.
Toddler. She's like a bull in a china shop, legit, and she leads everything with her head. I'm telling you, that kid headbutts everything. It's terrifying.
Hell yeah.
It's terrifying. So
hell yeah.
You know what? Owen has no fear now that you say when he's got a baseball helmet on. No fear at all.
Absolutely not.
Take the bat and go like this, and runs into me head first.
I feel like you should make those kids watch Concussion with Will Smith.
Right.
Wyatt has taken to doing crotch shots on the couch now, and I'm kind of laying next to him. Like if I'm kind of like laying to the side and he's in between my legs, just a crotch shot. I think he's telling me you and mom aren't having kids. I'm laying the law down. You know what?
Keep sitting down watching Funniest Homes videos with him, dude. He's just trying to get that 100 racks, man.
Oh yeah. He's dude. I put on a Jarvis Landry highlight reel thing the other. Jarvis Landry is his favorite football player. He hears the name Jarvis Landry. So for those of you guys who don't know, my son's developmentally disabled. He can't walk. He can't talk. But he recognized anytime anyone says the name Jarvis Landry, that kid loses his shit. Loses it. And we were watching Jarvis Landry videos the other day. I swear that kid was about to have an aneurysm, man. He was just losing his mind screaming. It was amazing. Yeah. Hey, if that's your favorite Brown, that ain't a bad pick. Jarvis is a good Brown. I'll tell you.
Yeah, Josh. When you got a whole gaggle of kids, it's different. You ain't never getting.
He's got a basketball team over there, brother.
Josh, I would pay money to see you take care of Wyatt for a little bit. I would pay anyone money to see them take care of Wyatt for a minute, because you'll be like, what did I get myself into? This kid's too awesome. Oh boy. So what do we got tonight, guys?
Well, happy 4th of July to everyone, because obviously you're not going to see us till Tuesday next week. So happy early 4th. So should be fun.
Doug?
I can't wait to see all the fireworks going off, because there's nothing going on in Ashtabula County. So, everyone's going to be just lighting crap off everywhere. It might be shotguns.
Oh, I can't
9
wait.
mils, and it could be
Can't wait for my
regular
dog to have a
fireworks
full-on
too.
stroke. It's going to be awesome.
Right.
At your gathering tomorrow, Ryan, can I put on "Firework" by Katy Perry as you're lighting off fireworks? Can I do that?
Maybe. I don't know.
I'm just gonna give you guys a heads up. I saw some Randy Macho Man Savage-esque cowboy hats at Walmart with American flag glitter on it. If I do get a chance to show up, I might be wearing that and the banana
And nothing
hammock
else.
from the Will Ferrell SNL skit, and we're gonna get this party right.
Oh yeah, hell yeah! Oh my God, this is gonna be awesome.
All right. Let's see here. What's on the deck here? I don't. Sam, are you running this tonight, or am I?
Well, I mean, I can. So the next thing we're gonna
whatever.
The next thing
The
we're going to talk
usual.
about is the COVID numbers, obviously.
Let's see. I'm going to share a
Do it
screen
to
here.
it,
That
baby.
way we
Do it
can
to
bring
it.
it up. I got you. Don't worry. Is that up there? There we
you
go.
go.
So Ashtabula County, 425, which I'll give credit to Beulah. We haven't moved like Ohio has. Good night. Like the whole
Ohio
state.
has been pretty much over 1,000 for about 3 days now. And
Yeah.
the death toll is going high, and the hospitalizations are going higher as well too. One of the things we did do today, and I know I constantly piss and moan about this place, is drove by the germ pit of Geneva on the Lake. And even by 3 o'clock, there were so many people down there. It was ridiculous.
Yep.
And not a mask to be found.
Because why would you wear a mask?
Yeah, I mean, you've got those restaurants on there. I'm not going to name exact names, but you can put together 2 and 2. One of the most famous restaurants down there, teenagers right on top of each other, and they're cooking hamburgers and hot dogs. Not a mask in there at all. And I understand the heat index and all that other stuff. So maybe I guess the real answer to that is maybe you're going to have to cut down.
Right.
They don't give a damn.
Does it rhyme with Freddie?
Nobody seems to give a damn until it gets real. And now here we are. California is going back into a shutdown. Florida is set to go back into a shutdown. Texas and Arizona also going into a shutdown.
It is masked up.
New York has just made it mandatory to wear masks. You can no longer fly from America into Europe. So for all the people who are, pissing and moaning and saying, "Oh, this is fake, this is fake, this is fake," I think you're maybe wrong here, because it seems
Maybe
to
a
be
little
back around. So
You know what the worst part was? We went out and got donuts out there at a specific shop, won't say it, whatever, which was fine. They did everything right, one family or one person at a time, But the part that was the hardest was telling Owen we couldn't go in the arcade for 20 minutes, because I love the arcade more than an adult loves a casino. Just being honest with you. The arcade there is awesome, and I just couldn't do it to subject my child, family, whatever you may want to call it, to that, because you can't tell me there's somebody over there just sanitizing it after every snot-nosed kid runs up there and puts it on there. And then I don't know how many people there are, but you can't tell me there's not someone walking around Geneva on the Lake with a fever and flu-like symptoms.
that's exactly it.
Yeah, exactly it.
So this is where, when we get into this argument of freedom and liberation and all this other horse shit, the problem is every single time you give people the shot to make the right decision, they don't. The overwhelming population doesn't. So that's why these restrictions in this case have to go into effect. And I'm going to put something to bed right now too, because we have a podium. I have a podium. We all have a podium here, and I'm going to use it. And it's been pissing me off all week.
Yes.
All right. I'm already sick and tired of people blaming all the numbers getting bumped up from the protests. Because let me tell you the difference between the people at the protests and the people in these damn bars. The ratio for face mask at the protest was probably 1 to 5, which isn't great, but at least 1 out of every 5 people was wearing a mask. Okay, much higher than the germ pits of the shoulder-to-shoulder bars, like in Put in Bay, like in our own Geneva on the Lake. Hell, probably like in some of the bars down on Bridge Street right now.
Yep.
The people who are going into bars don't follow the restrictions. They don't give a damn. They get drunk, and nobody cares less about their health than somebody drinking. So
Wait,
that is
Sammy.
another reason why everybody talks about singling out. Well, listen, single out the people that aren't following the directions properly, which is probably 96% of Geneva on the lake. Shut them down. Now, the small little bars like we have right here on Main Avenue, one of my favorite, that has strict guidelines on there, they should be able to practice freely. The only people who are going to get hurt here, I promise you, the only people who are going to get hurt here are the people who are following the rules, because they're in the minority here, which is horse shit. But I digress. Stop blaming it on protests because you didn't like what they were protesting, because that's truly what it comes down to.
But wait, Sammy, on the lake, I thought alcohol killed the virus.
You know what? My favorite is the 80-degree thing. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Well, 80 degrees kills that virus. Oh, really? Then how does it live in a human body that's 98 degrees?
98.6.
Right.
Weird.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest problem that I have is, well, I won't say the problem, because I can understand why people, they protest not to wear the mask. Yep.
Joe Rich came coming with some heat. Joe Rich is coming.
Joe Rich gets to see all the horse shit happening in that crazy ass state of Florida.
Yeah, but the mask, and I can understand why, but it's really so the mask. So we know, and I make sure I'm under the same impression. It doesn't protect yourself; it actually protects the people around you. Yeah, that way, if you have the bodily fluid is limited to catching into there. That's why you can wear. I mean, I've seen people with T-shirts over their face, or I've seen, what I mean. They're those mission towels.
They're not 100% effective. Okay, the surgical masks, which are, I don't have one near me.
N95.
No, not even the N95, but the ones like this
or whatever.
A mask like this, which is just your regular paper and non-N95, non-rebreather or whatever. So these are about 95 to 97% effective, which is incredible for this, okay? But not everybody has access to that. But the thinking behind this is, and the science behind this is, even if it doesn't hold everything out or keep everything from coming in, it's going to hold everything you're pushing in. Okay, most of it in. So
pushing out, right? Yeah.
Yeah, most of the stuff you're pushing in. So if all three of us are in a room and all three of us have a mask on, even if somebody does sneeze and some of those particles escape, you're not going to breathe them in because there's so many barriers in between. But people can't grasp that because that's two-step thinking. It's abstract. So since it doesn't affect them directly, they're like, well, it's not protecting me from anybody else's germs, but maybe they need to be protected from yours because you were, taking part in a all-night beer pong tournament 3 days ago at a softball tournament, or decided that you're going to sow your wild oats and make out with a bartender and put in bay. You know what I mean? It's any of those things. It's all these people who have these risky behaviors, and they're the ones who ultimately are going to be the problem.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like I said, I agree. I understand why people will protest and not want to wear the mask, and there's going to be a lot of uproar in the United States coming up here soon because of all these states and municipalities that decide that we're masking it the whole time. You have to, but it's really really about the safety of others. And as an American, protect your neighbor. Protect yourself, protect your neighbor, whatever it may be, because it's just it's waiting to trickle downhill. And we talked about it 2 shows ago or whatever, that shutdown 2.0 is what we called it, and 2.0. It's on the verge. Is what you said. 2 states have already shut down again.
So California and Arizona are both on shutdowns as to no bars, no water parks, no movie theaters, no groups over 20. There was another thing too. No bars, water parks, amusement parks, water parks. Anyway, no large groupings in either one of those states. They also, both of those states have mandatory mask orders. Florida has stopped all alcohol sales in bars.
Oh, hell yeah, they have.
So that's, now you want to talk about something that's really terrible. That's a great way to get a business to shut down. Rather than just closing them down, you're taking away their biggest portion of income.
Oh, yeah.
New York is on the verge of shutting down again because the numbers just won't stop there.
It's a hotbed.
Yeah, and Ohio as well. So Cincinnati, Columbus, and Akron all have instituted mandatory mask policies. I think it'll be statewide by the end of next week.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
You know what?
Those are the municipalities going in with those.
Yeah, right now what they're trying to do is because everybody is pissing and moaning about my rights. So they're trying to leave it to the areas to make that decision. That way they can deal with the people bitching and moaning. But what it really comes down to is if enough people don't do it, they'll just shut it down for the whole state.
Mm-hmm.
You
were saying something. Go ahead.
There should be a theme song for all this. It should be the rapper Future should just be salivating right now to put out a remix to his song Mask Off and just do it like as an awareness type thing to put on masks. Because that cat could put out a banger right now. Everyone loved that song initially.
Apparently, Cleveland went mandatory masks as well. And I forgot Pennsylvania's also a mandatory mask.
Yep.
Yeah, Pennsylvania's mandatory mask. Yeah, it is.
Yep. All right.
What you're looking at is, if we don't have a united front here, then you can look on limitations on domestic travel. Boy, won't that be fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, we were already there at one point in time. Like if you went into another state, you had to. When you came back, you had to. What was it? Oh gosh, huddle up and stay inside for quarantine. Thank you. Yeah. That's the word I'm looking for. So, but let's get into some sports talk. That's what we're supposed to be. So I'm pretty pumped. So, man, I want to talk about it, but I don't know when it's going to happen, so I won't. But I'm pretty excited. There are some hot things coming from 440 and Goal in relation to local sports. When we started this show, it was really about that. But with everything going on, we didn't really have a choice to hit on sports on a national level per se. But we do have some different things lined up coming up here, and we're pretty excited about it. So stay tuned. Make sure you guys watch. Don't forget on the bottom there, like, share, subscribe on Facebook, at 440 and Goal on YouTube. We're over on Instagram at 440 and Goal, and we have a website. Everyone forgets about it, 440andgoal.com. So rolling into a little bit about
website tonight. Sorry to interrupt you, Ryan. I will be talking about that website tonight because there is a little bit of an announcement I wanted to drop at the end of the show in regard to the website. We have something pretty cool happening. So everyone that might want to look at stuff other than sports here pretty soon, maybe sports aren't at the forefront, but other stuff is of your mind, movies, books, TV. You're going to be pretty happy, I think, later tonight. So
nice.
Sorry about that, Ryan.
No, you're good. It's all good. So Sandlot baseball game. I know Tom brought this up last night, and I can't honestly remember because I was riding home from Youngstown. So I'm gonna let Tom take the floor with this, with what's going on and why it's happening, and we'll interject when we rudely interrupt each other like always.
All right. So when we talk about like a sport, like okay, so you have stuff like if you follow basketball. You know about the Drew League. So, Sammy, I know you know about the Drew League. Drew League's been around since the 70s. It started with some high school players, then college players, now NBA players, and some big-ass NBA names playing it now. Well, baseball decided, a couple guys from the MLB decided a little while ago that when COVID hit, to stay sharp, they were going to go down to Palm Beach to one of the most famous sandlot places, Cressy's. And if you've never heard of Cressy's, it's a mecca. When I was down in Florida in college for baseball for some spring training, we actually went there. We got to see it. It was pretty dope. Guys like Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander, Corey Kluber, Giancarlo Stanton, Paul Goldschmidt, Noah Syndergaard, Brad Hand from the Indians, all decided they were going to get together and do some sandlot games. Okay. So they were playing all-star level games, keeping themselves sharp, totally disregarding some stuff put in place, kind of saying, screw you to the establishment and having some fun with each other. And that's kind of a double-edged sword right now, because obviously these players were wanting to get out there, start playing baseball again. Many of them were, but others, as we've heard, they're like, hey, I don't know if this is the best look for me. I kind of might want to opt out of this season. Like, we're going to talk about one player here pretty soon did opt out of the season. But they were down there. I think it's pretty cool that they were doing it, but they were threatened with some disciplinary action for doing this. And like Sammy and I were talking about last night, with these names, I can't see disciplinary action happening with them. No. I mean, when you've got guys like Scherzer, Verlander, Hand, like faces, Michael Wacha, people that are faces of the game down there doing this with a shortened season and all this stuff going on, they're going to sweep this under the rug. It's going to be fine. But I think it was pretty cool that these guys get down there and they do it. It was kind of like an all-star game. And I almost wish they would have televised it in a sense, just so we could have seen a little bit of baseball. It's like an all-star game, man.
I'll tell you my biggest thing, and I can't figure out this worth the life of me, and I don't understand it, whether it's MLB, NBA right now. I know NHL is pretty much shut down, right? I don't know for sure, but that's
in a
like
sense
would have been shut down.
Yeah,
right.
Why? They've got teams that are shut down because of COVID.
Right. Why do they keep going to Florida?
Because of the money.
Why?
Because of the money.
Why? Like the Florida's like the hotbed of the United States for COVID, and the NBA is like, well, we're gonna go to Disney World. Makes sense. All play in a bubble, and there's gonna be somebody that sneaks out in the middle of the night and does something stupid.
Absolutely.
I mean, then you have
Adam Silver,
and I have no problem.
Silver,
I have no problem. So I guess going into the Sandlot baseball game. So I have no problem. These guys, you're not playing baseball. You're technically, I know you're under contract. If you want to play baseball, I don't see any reason why you can't. With the names you brought up, there's nothing's going to happen to these guys. But my problem is there's so many other states with less issues related to COVID, so you can play in the bubble to be as safe as you can to continue to stay sharp, because it's going to happen at some point in time. You're going to come back and play baseball, even if it's next year. But just to play that once a week game, twice a week, whatever it is, just a pickup game in the backyard. There's no reason to. Just don't do it in Florida. Like go to Las Vegas. I don't know.
I wish we had
North Dakota.
I wish we had a breaking news thing, which is something we're going to need to work on. But from the Indians press team. We are committed to making a positive impact on our community and embrace our responsibility to advance social justice and equality. Our organization fully recognizes our team name is among the most visible ways in which we connect with our community. We have had ongoing discussions organizationally on these issues. The recent social unrest in our community and in our country has only underscored the need for us to keep improving as an organization on issues of social justice. With that in mind, we are committed to engaging our community and appropriate stakeholders to determine the best path forward regarding our own team name. I knew that they were going to be on the chopping block. I did not realize it would be that fast.
That was damn
wow.
So
I mean, should we just bust it out and go right into that right now, or we were gonna.
Why don't we? Shit.
We were gonna talk about that later. We have some other stuff, but I mean,
you know what?
That's tough.
Maybe we should go to break first. That way, we don't have to break in the middle of a good conversation. So why don't we do the business of the day? When we come back, one of the things we're going to talk about tonight is Native American imagery in sports, whether it's appropriate or appropriation. So before we do that, we're going to run into a quick break early on the early side. Let Ryan talk about the business of the day. When we get back, we're going to talk about the Indians changing their name, the Washington Redskins changing their name, and maybe a local team changing their name as well.
Yep. All right. So real quick, guys, we'll just make it a quick break. So business of the day, we're going Wilkinson Paving. So this is actually, he's my uncle. I found this image on their website. So they do have a website, www.wilkinsonpaving.com. They have been family owned and operated in Ashtabula, Ohio since 1968. So this is on the third generation of family running this. I know my cousin helps. My uncle is still the head honcho, if you want to call it that there. But they do a lot of stuff. They're not just a paving company, but they, maintenance, repair, including on asphalt and concrete. They do seal coating, line striping. They do drainage systems, concrete curbing, general excavation. The biggest thing that you get in our area here is what they call the fly-by-night system, or fly-by-night paving guys. They spend their 20 grand and they come in, and then they just kind of, they lowball everyone and they get the jobs. But in the end, you're just going to have it done by a professional company like Wilkinson Paving. So, check these guys out if you have any need. I mean, they do specialize in paving, obviously. They even do some cool paving. When they pave it, it looks like bricks being laid, actually. I think it's called street print, if I recall right. He's been doing that for quite a few years. So, but check out Wilkinson Paving. Phone number is 440-998-PAVE. Big shout out to them. Again, a business in Ashtabula that's been around since 1968. There's not a lot of businesses out there that's been able to do it like they have. So check them out. Shout out to my uncle. Shout out to my cousin for running it and keeping it rolling. And big shout out to my cousin Danny. He's the one that's been actually helping run that place for, 2 decades now with them. I don't know how old he is. He's like 44. I think he started when he was like 15 years old or something. So take a quick minute and minute 12 break. You guys get to see our image one more time. And we'll see you guys. And we're gonna dive right into it. Everyone's gonna be I'm pretty sure pretty excited, and I think there's going to be a lot of discussion with everyone. Everything that's going on in the world. So, let me pull up our thing. Minute 14, whatever it is. We'll be right back. Oh, if I hit the right button. All right, be back.
Rebound taken by Iguodala. Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. LeBron James with the rejection.
Cleveland, this is for you.
Come here to cleanse your soul. Yeah, 4-4 and go. That other getting old. We got Sam right in time. This is a sports octagon. Sports for forever and beyond. Spending with Sam right in time. From the puck to the glove to the pigskins high. Share all of your thoughts, just let it ride. Down the baseline in the bleachers, or you wanna get denied. Yeah, share all of your thoughts, just let it ride. 4-4 and go. Come here to cleanse your soul. Yeah, it's 4-4 and go. Come here to cleanse your soul.
The Browns Super Bowl contenders.
Hey, listen. When we start talking about what wins Super Bowl, we talk Super Bowl. We talk about talent. The Browns, they have the talent. They have it.
Sorry, that was
welcome back.
That was
I'm sorry. Yeah, well, everything that we just did just got blown out the doors. Yeah, I probably should have did 2 minutes. We didn't get a chance to discuss it. Who cares? Because this topic has been a hot topic for decades now. A decade. So if you guys just joined the show, Sammy just reported that the Cleveland Indians are ready to discuss changing their team name. There's a lot more that he said prior to that, but he did just put that up there. I just read 37 minutes ago that was announced. It's going to be interesting. One, I don't know what they would change it to, but
I got a couple ideas. Spiders.
Spiders has always been one because they're originally the Spiders, but
yeah.
I want to take one quick step back because the second half of the show, so everyone knows, was really we were going to talk about some the topics of Native American imagery in sports mascots. Is it appropriate or appropriation? So, I mean, obviously, this all kind of ties in together in some way, shape, or form. So I'm gonna just chime in first. We're gonna I think we're gonna go right to that. You guys good with that? Before I go do this, you guys tell me to stop.
And listen, everybody watching, I want you to get people in here because we want to hear what you have to say. If you guys want to get on the show and you want to give us your opinion on this, as long as it's not hate-filled, as long as it doesn't have any kind of racial slurs, we're not blaming this or that or that. If you just want to give your opinion, let us know. Ryan or myself or Tom, we can get you on here. We'll let you speak your piece. This is a community thing. We want to hear your voice when we're talking about this because we're all going to give ours.
Right, and I'm going to go first here, and I'm going to say, so I've never had a problem with the Indians logo. I've never had a problem with the Redskins name, and the reason why that I haven't had a problem with it, whether it's the Blackhawks, the Redskins, those three are the only ones I can think of right now. The Braves. So when you're a sports team, again, this is my opinion, and I'm open to suggestions on editing it, doing all that. When you're a sports team, the team name, no one chooses the Cleveland Pigeons because pigeons are weak. You know what I mean? So if you're a team name of the Cleveland Indians, it is supposed to be represented as a strong, powerful team. That's the way I've always seen it. That's why I've never had an opinion on it, and I never thought it was a bad thing. Just like, you bring up like the Chicago Cubs. It's named after a bear. Why is it named after a bear? Because bears are strong. Bears are powerful. The Cubs, I know it's a little bear, but whatever you want to call it. Or the Chicago Bears. A bear is a powerful animal, and it's supposed to resemble the team is powerful. They're here to win, all that hoorah stuff, whatever you want to call it. That's why I've never, I guess, really understood it. The one thing I would say is the Chief Wahoo that did get axed, 2 years ago now, however long ago. I could see why Native Americans were mad at that because it was very cartoon-esque. But at the same token, the Indians used it as a symbol of power, in my opinion. Again, it's my opinion on that, and if I'm, basically change my mind that, if you can change my mind, I'll be willing to accept it. I'm not going to go, free spirited here, but, if you make a valid statement and it makes sense, I'm willing to alter my train of thought and go with it. But from what I've always understood, the imagery is to mean a powerful, we're here to win. We're a tough team. That's just what it is. So.
All right. So there are two different levels to this. And so that's where I'm going to start. The first thing is the Washington Redskins is actually it's a legitimate, it's a legitimate slur. Okay. The Washington Redskins is on par with having like the Brooklyn Beaners. Okay. That's where that would be. Okay. The Portland Puerto Ricans, you know what I mean? And actually that would be more respectful than Redskins. Redskins is literally, it's the N-word of the Native Americans culture. It's terrible.
So I'm gonna just chime in real quick because I can understand that. So the logo, my honest opinion, I don't really have a problem with the logo as of right now. The name, I do. Yeah. I think the name should have been changed decades ago. It should have never been able to run as far as it has. Regardless, regardless of its heritage, this is another, waving the Confederate flag, heritage, not hate, all that horse shit. But
yep,
that's really, in my opinion, that's what it is. But I can see the logo. I have no problem with. The name, I do have a problem with because you're right. That does signify exactly what you're saying. Calling someone a redskin, why would you even call them that? Who cares what color their skin is? You know what I'm saying?
It was from a time of superiority. It's a white supremacist term. It is really what it comes down to. That's where it stands. That's where it stems from. That's what it is.
I'm going to say, and then if you don't mind, I'm going to say something real quick and succinct, and you guys take it. I just wanted to put one thing out there. All right. In my opinion, Indian mascots and stereotypes present a misleading image of Indian people, and it feeds a historic myth that whitewashes and minimizes an entire history of oppression. And that's all I've got on it, man. Like it whitewashes it and minimizes it. When the Indians and Redskins were incepted, it was in the 40s and 50s when these sports were dominated by privileged white males that appropriated images of a culture that was strong, proud, and a heritage to be respected, and what they did was grossly use it to push their own agenda and to make themselves seem more powerful. I think that the Redskins and Indians are long overdue for name changes. In this class, have no place. The only thing, like the Edgewood Warriors are on that spectrum for me as well. People will say, well, what about the Golden State Warriors? The fact of the matter is the Golden State Warriors are not an Indian image. It's the San Francisco Bridge. It's the San Francisco Bridge. All they portray is going 79 and blowing a 3-1 lead. That's all they do.
Listen, so
that's my piece. You guys take
it. I completely agree with you. I think you're dead ass. I think you're right on.
Should I get my Tims real quick?
Here's the problem with it. I always look at my favorite hockey team is the Chicago Blackhawks. Always has been since I was a kid.
Sure.
I've looked at the image that they use because the Cleveland Indians, as much as everybody loves the Cleveland Indians and loves Chief Wahoo, myself included because it was my childhood, it is literally a caricature. That is like there used to be a very racist themed restaurant called Sambo's. And it's in the exact same light as that. Like you can't do that. It never should have been acceptable in the first place, so it damn sure isn't acceptable anymore. So those things, like the blatant things, have to go. But I think sometimes when we get rid of blatant things that are blatantly wrong, we tend to overlook the other things that are still wrong. Washington Redskins is a slur, which is one of the reasons. Like I've tried, honestly, and call me, PC principal from South Park if you want to, but I've tried not to even call that team that. I always say the Washington football team or that football team that plays in Washington, because I know that if it was, the San Francisco Spicks or something like that, I would be pissed every time I heard it. Because that's something that personally attacks me. So what I'm getting at is great. Let's get rid of the ones that don't make sense at first. But then you have to come back around and you have to think about it. Even if you think it's respectful, if I'm using an image of you and I think it's respectful, but you don't, you get the right to tell me not to use that, right? Because it's you.
Correct.
So if Native Americans are standing up together and saying, no, we don't want to be your sports icons. We're not mascots. We're people of culture. Okay?
Exactly.
Right? How many %? You know what I mean? Like
100.
It's okay if they're saying it's okay because it's theirs.
Yes.
Is what it comes down to. Our kids go to a Catholic school. Okay, they're the Fighting Heralds. The herald is a symbolism in the Catholic religion. Mm-hmm. They approve it because it's theirs. So if people are just taking that, they have every right to be offended by that. And if you're using something that's not yours and somebody else is offended by it, they have the right for you not to use it. So
correct.
I went to Chestnut Elementary. And our mascot was the Warriors, just like the Edgewood Warriors, which was a Native American man with a fully dressed, full headdress that is supposed to be respectful. Granted, to me, it always just looked like the guy on the face on a pack of Red Man. But that's what I thought that was respectful, because the Indians were they were so disrespectful that flies undercover, you know what I mean? Because you're like, man, at least it's not a freaking Matt Groening cartoon. Like,
correct.
You know what I mean? It's not, at least they're not poking fun at their skin color or the size of their nose, because that's the other thing that happened with that. You know what I mean? It's Native American. I have changed my mind on it in the last couple of years, because I at first I was on the team of, like, as long as you're being respectful about it, you're trying to say that it is a you're trying to use it like Ryan said, in a gesture of power. We are powerful like these men. and trying to pay homage. Well, you can only pay homage if they want that to be paid to them.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Because if somebody of Italian lineage, got mad because you're using, Roman warriors, or if they're of Greek and you're using Greek warriors, they have every right to do that.
They do.
So if the Washington Redskins were owned by a Native American family,
that one no.
Yeah, or like organization.
That one no, because it's a racial slur. But like the Blackhawks, if it was owned, I know what you're saying. So like if the Blackhawks were owned by the Blackhawk Nation, you know what I mean? And it was their team. Absolutely. I don't see any problem with that. But you can't take somebody else's culture and use it to and monetize it.
So like Ryan, to your point, like if the Jacksonville Jaguars changed their names to the Jacksonville Sheiks, it'd be one thing because Shad Khan is Middle Eastern, owns that team. He has every right to have the Jacksonville Sheiks as his name because he is backed by Middle Eastern people. If they wanted that, but I mean, if a white dude came in, like if Jimmy Haslam changed it to the Cleveland Sheiks, that'd be disrespectful shit, kind of to your point. But like, if Shad Khan did it, that's one thing because he is Middle Eastern. He comes from a Middle Eastern background. Like he was born over there. I mean, that's just the fact of the matter, in my opinion.
Like I said,
if I'm wrong, chime in. The
logo,
absolutely. Like
the logo represents power.
If the Cleveland Browns were the Cleveland Texans and our mascot was some dude with guns and Yosemite Sam and a giant 10-pound hat, people from Texas are like, yeah, I'm not cool with that. you know what I mean? That's about where it goes. Like it's if it's not yours. If it's not yours, then you are at the mercy of those who you're using. Mm-hmm. Now, if they say it's okay, it's okay in some cases. Because I don't care if, it's a Puerto Rican that owns it. You're not going to, use the S word in your name. I don't care if it's a black guy that owns a team. You're not going to use the N word in your name. That's inappropriate.
Inappropriate.
And really, the Washington football team should be known as the R word because that is a racial slur.
Big time. Yeah. I mean, like you said earlier, it's the word for Native Americans. I mean, that's just what it is.
People I think the funniest thing about this is, and so I'm going to take this over to the local aspect of this. Okay. To the Edgewood High School team out here, the Warriors, where a petition has been made on both sides. A, to keep it, and B, to change it. Knowing the temperature of this and of Ashtabula, it's not going to change. But the most common thing I have heard on the keep it the same, on the keep it the same team is once a warrior, always a warrior. That's part of me. That image is not part of you. That image is actually a part of somebody else, a part of an entire culture of people. So you will always have graduated from the school in Edgewood. You will always be a Buckeye, student. But that mascot never belonged to you to begin with. You can't miss your Mercedes-Benz that you stole.
Correct.
So the name, I don't like. I mean, we go back. If you go back to the name of the Warriors, I don't think. I mean, change the image, but keep the name. What else could the Edgewood Warriors be? Other, you continue to be, a Warrior, but just change the image if you want to. But again, I'm still, I haven't changed my mind. The image is supposed to represent power. You know what I mean? Like that's.
I'm good with the name. I can live with the name Warriors because Warriors isn't just Native Americans weren't the only people with Warriors. Warriors has become anything. You can be a warrior in it's escaping me. Giant Coliseum times. gladiators and stuff like that. Which honestly, and people are going to say, well, what about if they get offended? If they get offended, then bring it out. And then we'll get rid of that and we'll get rid of Warriors too. But right now, what you've got going is the name Warriors isn't just for people of Native American heritage. So take away the Native American imagery and, move on. Unfortunately, some teams like, Nick was telling me that's why they can use the Florida. Let me put that out there. You got it. That's why Florida State can use the Seminoles, I believe, because they actually pay that tribe for the use of their name. So in that case, that's okay.
But is the image not okay?
No, that's what they're paying for, the use of the name, the image, and everything. So that's
I know,
all
but if Washington's forced to change their image and name, I mean, it's going to be I think your wife actually said it.
What Native American tribe is the Redskins?
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
There
is none. Like, so there's
I don't know.
All of them.
Let's see. What this month? Blah, 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 Native Americans. There was one song, but I mean, I guess, you know what I mean. Like, it's going to be a downhill. Like, if the Indians are forced to change their image and name, well, the image is already done, but the name's
going.
I mean, when you're at the professional level, you're all the way up here, and you're forced to get rid of that name, get rid of that image. It's going to go downhill. I mean, I bet there's not another image like Chief Wahoo on everything.
What does that mean?
What's that?
So, and I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm asking you because I think that's a common argument. So what does that mean to you? When you say it's going to go downhill, what does downhill equate to?
So, I mean, so trickle downhill, whatever you want to call it, meaning that because it's at a national level, it's going to go down to the collegiate level, and then from there down to the high school level, where they all are going to have to change this.
But isn't that a good thing?
That's a good thing.
No, yeah, I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm still in the, like, there's certain names that need to be changed, like Washington's name, that should be changed. I mean, I have no problem with that. The imagery, again, I'm going back to what I said before. It's the image is not to represent, like, I'm a terrible football team, baseball team, basketball, whatever it may be. It's meant to, it's a gesture to say power, right? Respect me for being in the league for this long, or whatever it is. But that certain names should change, but certain images don't have to, in my opinion.
I'm sure you guys can hear.
I don't.
Kicking off fireworks. Here we go.
Right. Yeah, I just, like I said, the image is the image a racial slur?
The image.
Well,
no. The image isn't a racial slur, but it is appropriating culture from somebody else. Which is only okay if they sign off.
So let me go this route, Sammy. What do you find wrong with Washington's image?
So
simply because it's a Native American.
Listen, I agree. That's where I drew the line before. So my line was, as long as the image you're using is respectful of their culture and not cartoonish, then it should be okay, right? But then I actually sat down and I listened to people from that culture. And the way they brought it, the way it was, brought down to me, and the way it makes sense now, and why I've changed my stance on that, is because they said, what if somebody has taken something that is yours and never given you anything for it? Whether they're being respectful in a respectful manner or a disrespectful manner, the point is they're taking something that is yours, personal. It is a person like that. Technically, that could be somebody's grandfather. You know what I mean? What if they were using a picture of your grandfather and not paying you any mind, and you don't have any choice on how they mark it, what it's supposed to mean, none of that, and they can tell you what it is, but they didn't ask you, they just took it. You would be pissed.
I would be, but that's all what ifs.
That it's not what ifs. That's what they've done. That's what they've done. So whose
grandfather is it then?
I don't know.
I'm just saying.
No,
you gotta. You can't. I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, it's an image that depicts power.
It's based on a real person. You know what I mean? So if you took an image of a slave and used it in the same manner, Just because you don't know whose grandfather it is or anything doesn't make that right. And that's exactly what they've done with Native Americans. And it sucks to me because I've always loved, I still agree with you. I think to me, it does signify power. I think it signifies power. I think it signifies pride. I think it signifies, values and all these great things that you want. But it's not up to me. And it's not up to you. And it's not up to Tom. And it's not up to anybody who is not directly affected by the use of the image. If people whose the image is based off of find it offensive, you cannot use it. You cannot use it. Especially, we're not talking about some made up, animal or myth, or you know what I mean? We're not talking about the Puerto Rico chupacabras, okay? We're talking about an actual culture, an actual, person or signifying who they are. Once they've decided that's not okay, and then honestly, let's be real, guys. Do we think that anybody asked permission to use it in the first place? Hell no. But once they have voiced it, you have to respect it.
I mean, but
let's take it through another lens. Let's look at it through another lens. So Notre Dame, what's their logo?
The Fighting Irish.
So for a long time, Irish people were very offended by that logo because a fighting Irishman was portrayed, usually in the media back in the 70s, 80s, that kind of thing, as an Irishman was portrayed as a drunkard who just wanted to get into fights and do stupid shit. So for a while there, Notre Dame was under a lot of heat too. So even though it was a Catholic image, Irish Catholic type people generally went to that type of school. They weren't trying to be like racist, that sort of thing, but look at it through that lens. It's not just happening to people of color. I mean, white people, privileged white people were looking at this through the same lens. You know what I'm saying? Like it happens all over. It's not up to us to decide that. It's up to that group, that marginalized group of people to say, we don't like this. This is time for change, man. And Sammy, I'm in total agreement with you. Like, if you're not part of it, you don't have a say in it. If you're that offended by, I can be offended if the Cleveland Polacks, okay, because I'm part Polish, okay. I'd be pretty friggin' pissed if people are like, oh, look, the Polacks, he's got a thing of potato vodka and he's drinking it. I'd be pissed because that's not what Polish people are. Polish people are way more than that. You know what I mean? Like,
that's exactly it.
Exactly it. Yeah. Or like
I'm not disagreeing.
I know what you're saying is like the image, what the image means to you is pride. And they're not trying. I think where you're at, Ryan, is like they're not trying to be offensive in the use of the image. They're trying to use it in a positive manner, right? Like that's what I'm understanding. Like that's where you're coming from, right? And what I'm saying to that is that's great that you feel that way, and I don't disagree with you. I feel that way too, but it doesn't to them, and they don't think it's okay. So if they don't think it's okay, then we don't get that. We don't get that. Like that's where you know what I mean? Where the buck stops, where the affected say it stops. You know what I mean?
Agree.
Like buck I can only do to you what you allow me to do. And
okay, so I did a little bit of fact checking, so I'm listening and going through with it. Now this is quickly, so I can't be quoted with this, so I'm just reading.
I'm quoting everything you say.
So you can do whatever you want. I don't care. Okay, the current Redskins logo was proposed by a man named Walter Wetzel, who was a former Blackfeet tribal chairman and past president of the National Congress of American Indians. It was introduced in 1972 and is modeled after the likeness of the buffalo nickel. So the image was presented by a chairman of the Blackfeet tribe.
Correct.
And Washington decided to use that image. They accepted it based off of the image of probably meaning power, respect, unity, all that fun stuff.
Right. I understand.
Right. So, but I mean, like I said, I'm just kind of I'm running through. You know what I mean? Just trying to go through with
it. Point. I think that brings up an excellent point and an excellent talking point. So, if it was okay then, is it still okay? And that's what you have to ask yourself.
Right.
Because
I'll
be honest, I didn't know that. I figured that it was just like the Indian here, where it was a white guy that drew it, and he just wasn't trying to be an asshole about it. Like he's trying to be nice. But if it was okay back then, but through this image, this culture of woke, which everybody hates. But woke is a good thing. People are learning. I know more about other cultures than I think my dad did. And I know you guys know more than your dads did. And I know that our kids will know more about culture than we will.
But to kind of go on to the point, Ryan, that you just made. So, yes, a member of a Native American tribe may have suggested that, but think about
not a member. He was the
chairman.
President of the National
Congress
of America. No, president.
So think about
the National Congress of American Indians.
Back in the 70s and 80s, there was a guy named Dolomite. Okay, he was a black actor, and he willingly partook in very, very
stereotypical behavior,
stereotypical blaxploitation films. Okay, I don't know if you know what those are, but blaxploitation, looking at them now, were insanely effing racist. But he took part in them. Now, blaxploitation films are just hammered. I mean, you don't see them anymore. And like Quentin Tarantino has made parodies of those, showing how, like Django Unchained, a great film. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but that's parodying and showing how racist those films were. I mean, he really hammered home a lot of the tropes and showed how damaging those were to African American culture. I mean, if you've never seen Django Unchained, watch it, because you'll see he's showing this was accepted in the 60s and 70s in these films, and African Americans willingly participating in them. Now, a blaxploitation film would get destroyed. I mean, it wouldn't even make it to a Cannes Film Festival, where controversial films always make it. You know what I'm saying? Just because it was okay back then for a chairman or an African American to take part in a film like that doesn't mean it's okay now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like the views have changed, the politics around it have changed.
The world is evolving, and the easy way to look at it is, everybody's, like Joe Rich just said, everybody's turning into crybabies. I don't agree with that. I think. Here's the thing. I do think that we are oversensitive about some certain things.
For sure.
I think we are oversensitive about certain things. I think double standards exist.
Triple standards exist.
They're there. They are there. Entertainment for me, I struggle with, because there are a lot of things that are okay in entertainment for some people to do and not for others. And I hate that. I think an equal playing field, but that's another battle for another day. But using somebody's culture to signify how tough you are, it's wore out its welcome in today's society.
Yes, it has.
That's really what has come down. It has wore out its welcome.
I just don't understand. I mean, so let's go this route. What would they change the name to?
Doesn't matter.
They kept the logo, but they changed the name. What would you go to?
Are you talking about the Washington team?
Yeah.
So the logo's got to go, because it's been deemed offensive by the affected population. So they could be the Washington Senators. They could be the Washington. They could be the Washington Crooks. They could be the Washington, whatever politician.
If you want to pay homage,
they can call it the Washington Flags, the Washington. The Washington Star.
You can still pay homage. You can still pay homage to Native American culture. A great one would be red tails for the red tail hawk, which is a revered animal in many Native American communities. So you keep, the spirit of red, which is an associated. You can keep the colors red and gold. Red tail hawk, the red tails. That'd be an awesome name.
Telling
it's
you right
a
now,
fighting bird.
You cannot.
That'd be awesome.
you cannot use people or their culture as your mascot. It's got to go. Period.
Even though,
so you don't agree with the Red Tails?
The president.
No. Honestly, you're gonna have to start going. You know, like
it's going to be the Washington Ducks.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's where you got to go. You got to go animal. You got to go.
Well, that's what I just did. I just went animal. I mean, so what about like bison? Okay, so like bison is a revered animal in Native American culture and Indian culture as well. So do we need to eliminate like bison cattle references?
No. You know why? Because Native Americans aren't animals. So they're not animals, even though they hunted them and even though they use them for all kinds of things, they don't own that animal. They don't own that species. So you can use any species of animal you want. You can use
red-tail hawks. Red-tail hawks.
Oh, I thought you were. I my apologies. I thought you were talking about red tails like a tribe, or I thought
no, the animal like a red-tail hawk
or something.
Yeah, the red-tail hawk. Yeah, that'd be sweet because it's a fighting bird.
Yeah, if you want to go anything with animals, I think is fine. Anything with, honestly, businesses, stuff like that, cartoons. I think capitals is great. Like Washington. First of all, Washington, everything in that city, shouldn't it kind of revolve around politics? Considering that's our nation's capital.
You're right. I could agree with that.
The Washington Trumps.
Oh my God.
The Washington Obamas. No, that's a team I would get behind. The Obamas.
Obama.
Listen, I like to tell people, and this is just a sidebar because this is my newest thing to piss people off. Obama was a president for 8 years. The Confederacy was only around for 3 years and 62 days. Therefore, Obama is more important to America than the Confederacy. Suck it. But getting back to it, like, what should the name be? Should be a fun question. Not like I'm not gonna do it because it'd be so. I am tired. I can't do it. Like no. The name change, you gotta do it. Listen, what was the Cleveland Indians AA baseball growing up?
The Arrows.
The Arrows. You look like Felix the cat that got dumped into a freaking purple paint can. And now, because Akron's the rubber capital of the world, they're
the rubber duckies.
And they did that blinking an eye. So if you could change from an entire color scheme and mascot to something else, you can do it here to kind of, let's not forget, and I don't want to be that guy, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna play this card, okay? Let's not forget how absolutely awful America has been to Native Americans. Let's not forget that, okay? Let's not forget how absolutely terrible we have been. We have, moved them out of their land, and that's war. That's a whole different story. Okay. But we essentially tried to kill off we tried to commit genocide.
Guys, I got to reload back in. I'm sorry. I'll be right back. I got to reload in. Yeah. You're chopping.
If you don't know what the Trail of Tears is, and I'm not saying you don't, Ryan, but I'm talking to anybody watching this. Like, if you don't know what the Trail of Tears is, you need to read it because my God, were we terrible. Miami of Ohio. Right. I did not know that. I did not know that they were the Redskins before that. So the Red Hawks, from the Redskins to the Red Hawks. So there you go. You change it. It's a very simple thing. You know what I mean? It's bad.
Like I said, I understand the name from going, the Redskin name. The logo thing, I don't know, man. Like, someone proposed it. He was Native American when he did it, and just because it's a white man that owns the team now, white guy owned it then. I don't know, but he proposed it, and it was, I can't see that big of a problem with the image. The name, I agree with you, because then the other thing you always hear too is like the New England Patriots. That's the first thing my wife will say, well, what about that? That's great about a white man But
because it's the Patriots. It's who we are as Americans. And you know what? If enough Bostonians got together and decided that was offensive, then you'd have to change it then. But that's never going to, like, it's not, the reason why that's not a good comparison is the New England Patriots have never had anything done to them similar to what the Native Americans have had to endure their entire existence. So that's really what it comes down to. The New England Patriots didn't go from having an entire country that we live on to living in, to having reservations where, they're not even as big as the county we live in. That we mean us as a that we live in. So you got it. Listen, if I'm doing something to you for years and years and years, and you decide like, hey man, I don't want you to do that anymore. Okay, I gotta stop. That's it, because you.
So Mark Scafaro brings up a good point. He says, I agree with Sam, but changing the team name doesn't rectify the situation. We need to help the community with the actual issues. This is just pandering to appease the masses and get the attention off of them.
Oh, without a doubt.
Right, he's 100% right. So let me ask you this. So a Native American tribe, what was it, Blackfeet, I think it was. That's where this guy came from. Let me take that off of here, sorry. That tribe, the Blackfeet tribe, which I don't know if they're in D.C. I don't even know how that got brought about. Yeah, but if Dan Snyder says, hey, listen, let me keep the name, let me keep the image, I'll put I don't know, $20 million a year into a savings account, and you guys do what you want with it as a community. Does that change everything?
If the group signed off,
everyone has a price.
You're right. Now
everyone's got it.
Okay. Oh God. Okay. I don't want to be like super political guy, but okay. Let me put it this way. We've all heard the term privilege. Okay. That could be construed, maybe misconstrued, as using your privilege to demean somebody's problem. And here's why, okay? Just walk with me here for a minute. If you have one group of people that has everything and one group of people that has nothing, the people who have everything are doing wrongs to this people. They have nothing. The people who have everything, if they buy them out because they're giving them a little bit of what they have, just because they had nothing, they're not really in a position to make that choice. So what you truly have to ask yourself is, what is the most ethical and moral way to proceed? And truly, the most ethical and moral way to proceed, if you are doing wrong, is to stop doing wrong. Not try to appease it with money or goods, because all you're doing that is basically buying off your misdeed. Do you know what I mean?
But you're calling it a misdeed, and it's not necessarily a misdeed. So it is now, but in 1971, was it a misdeed? And I know we're 40 years past that now, whatever it is, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, 40 years past it. But if the misdeed, I mean, if that's what they're doing to make up for wrong, if you want to call it that, even though someone from the Blackfeet tribe wrote it, gave it to them, they copyrighted it, and they made money on it,
then you should do both. You should almost pay them. And that's why courts will award things called damages.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you almost should and get rid of it.
But I get, like I said, like I can understand the name. I mean, I keep reverting back to the name. I understand that, but the image I don't, because it was presented like by a Native American.
You do more than just change the name. Maybe go above and beyond and realize that the damage has been caused. I'm sorry, Ryan, I didn't mean to take that off while you're reading it.
You're right.
the damage that has been caused, there are tendrils and there are things reaching from that. And so here's what I would like to say. Here's how I would like to know. So let's talk about our dads, okay? Our dads grew up in a different time and in a different era with a different culture and a different level of education. So let's put that to the chairman of this group, okay? So during that era, he has a different understanding of what's ethical, what this means to other people. The world is a different place. So he makes a decision based on where, his bubble that he lives in. And his bubble is the appropriate bubble. You are correct. Because if you're going to use something, you need to go to the people directly. So they went directly to one person, and he made a decision based on his bubble of what his bubble of knowledge and his bubble of understanding, both, academic and ethically. 100 years ago. So in 100 years, think about all the forward thinking that has occurred and all the understanding and all what happens when you start to mesh these cultures. Because let's be honest, during that time in America, it wasn't just Native Americans and white people separate. It was white people and brown people and black people and yellow people. Everybody had to be separate because there was no commingling. So now we fast forward to 100 years later, we're in today where everybody has meshed together and we all understand each other's cultures. And not only do we all understand each other's cultures, but we understand some of the connotations and some of the meanings behind things that people are saying. Do you know what I mean? Because I think had he in today's, like if you went today to that same group of people and we're like, hey, we're going to use one of your drawings from this beautiful museum, and we're going to make a sports team out of it, and we're going to call that sports team the Redskins. They would beat you to death before you left the building. I mean, that's like, it's just, we're in a different place. So I don't know if it was necessary. So he signed off on it, and I get what you're saying because I agree with you. I think that's the way to go, but we've evolved. Like, we have evolved as a people. And that's okay. It's okay. Listen, nobody wants to get rid of their childhood. Nobody. I don't. Like, I love Chief Wahoo, and it's not offensive to me, but it's also not making fun of my people. You know what I mean? It'll always have a different meaning. It's very similar to like the Confederate flag. The Confederate flag does not mean slavery to everybody, but it means it to some. And that's why it can't be anywhere. And that's why you have these states like Mississippi getting rid of it, which, my God, if Mississippi's getting rid of something, it's really bad.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So let's go down the list here. It's like, I understand what you're saying, and we don't really have it's a different view, but it's not in a negative way in any way, shape, or form, I think, across the panel.
No, it's
but the Chicago Blackhawks. Should they change their name?
If the Blackhawks tribe came to them and said, we are no longer comfortable with the use of our name for your sports team, yes. I don't know that they've done that yet. And they could. If I'm wrong, anybody who's watching this, please, Nick Billman, because Nick Billman, by the way, I want to thank him for this topic because he actually sent me the press release from the Indians. He's our active fact checker. So if the Blackhawks have ever done something like that, please let me know. But if they did that, then absolutely they should change their name. And I'm still going to love that team. The Seminoles, that tribe has signed off on it.
Okay, so real quick, the Blackhawks, I'm going to read, this is, again, I don't know if this is Wikipedia, but I just Googled the name origin. Okay. So the National Hockey League, Chicago Blackhawks was named in honor of the U.S. 86th Infantry Division, which was named the Black Hawk Division after Black Hawk, a Native American chief. The team's founder, Frederick McLaughlin, having served in that division. So they could easily change that image. I would say that one there, the name should stay, but the image should probably go if the Black Hawk tribe decided we don't like the imagery there because the name was actually brought. I mean, actually, now that I'm reading that, the name or the image makes no sense. Put a damn helicopter on that thing or something.
Well,
I mean, you know what I'm saying, right? You know what I mean? Like
it comes down to the affected tribe, like the affected people are who get to decide.
Right.
Like,
right. So I mean,
I don't know how else to, how else to say it. Like, that's really
right. Like, I could understand that, if the affected people were the Blackhawk tribe and that was a situation, then yeah, I mean, if they don't want it, then don't use it. But then you go into the political aspect of it. If it's a trademark logo that the owner got in 1971, I mean, and obviously then at that point in time, I'm honoring those things then, and I think it would be received better. Yeah, that's right. It was a good point, Marcus. Sorry, but it's a trademark logo that, it's been around for decades. And should someone have to give up their trademark that they, I guess, earned? But I mean, like I said, it's tough.
You can't trademark somebody's culture. You can't trademark somebody's. You can't trademark somebody's image.
I hate to tell you this, but that's what that is. You legally can.
Right
now, in our era, right now, no. If you took that, they would probably be shot out the window for whatever reason, or not whatever reason, for obvious reasons. But in 71 or whatever time frame I just said, that I mean, that if you had an image you wanted to trademark, you paid them enough money, you could do whatever you wanted.
I mean, there's been tons of racist trademarking in the past. You know what I mean? It doesn't make it right. Like, we're in a position now where we understand, like, that's not appropriate.
But see, that's it's assumed. You're assuming that it's racist.
If they think it's racist, it's racist. If Native American people, and not just people who, have, one or two people say it's okay, if the overwhelming group of Native American people have decided that it is not okay, then it's not okay. That's it.
Like in the case of the Indians, I can't quote it, but I'm pretty sure that I read 2-3 years ago, when this was a hot topic then, that when Native Americans were polled, they didn't find any offense to it. But there's a small. I'm almost positive. I could have. I swore it was like a News Herald article or something, because it was a big to do, like it is now. I mean, it's bigger now than what it was 3-4 years ago. But I'd have to read that. But I mean, if that's the case, and we're talking about a small minority of people that are saying we don't like it versus the large minority don't mind it.
You really do.
I mean, that's what I'm just saying.
You're going to have to go. By the overwhelming. You're right. Like, you would have to go by what the overwhelming people want. But I mean, in certain times, then like Redskins obviously is never okay. It's never gonna be okay. I don't care if everybody in the world says it's okay. It's a racial slur. I
mean, I think we're all part of that. You know what I mean? Like that name is terrible. That should be changed. And there's some like Billman put out there, the collegiate team, the Miami Redhawks, which I didn't know that. So thanks for the new wrinkle.
Yeah, I didn't know that too.
But let's see. But it should be changed. It's obvious. That's what it means. But if the large portion of that minority says they don't have a problem with it, but there's a small portion that says they do, I mean, on our show, when we talk about topics that one of us may not like, we do a vote. If it's 2-1, you lose.
That's it.
What it is. I mean, that's what it is. So the question now becomes, is it being blown out of proportion because of the era that we live in?
At some point, don't we understand that some things are just wrong, whether people want to admit it or not?
Right. So here's a good one. I didn't even think about it. Kansas City Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to have to change their logo? Or I'm sorry, their name?
Maybe their branding.
Because it's an arrow with a KC in it. Even though they just won the Super Bowl to represent power.
Maybe they're
I don't
branding.
think I'll bet any money at this. If Patty Mahomes is on the Chiefs logo, it ain't getting touched. Ain't nobody touching it because no one cares because them cats are winning. Guaranteed.
I'm telling you right now, man. PC is bigger than it's bigger than it's bigger than winning. We are in an era. We are in an era right now.
It might be bigger than winning right now because there are no sports.
It's not going anywhere though.
It's not going to go anywhere, man. And it's only going to get worse once people start going to games and you start getting a presence there in tailgate places. Like let's say like the Cleveland Browns were like the Cleveland Redskins. All right. So we don't have sports right now. It's just being talked about right now in circles like ours. Muni lot opens, man, and you're going to have people there with signs. You're going to have people there picketing. I mean,
absolutely.
It would only get worse. I mean, honestly, like it ain't going to go anywhere. I mean, honestly, like I said, it'd probably get worse once sports start up. I mean, think about in DC, man, like my best friend from college, he lives in the Baltimore area, but he lives right between where the Redskins and the Ravens play, like right in that sweet spot type area. And he says all the time, like, dude, you wouldn't believe how many people like are on street corners handing out like flyers. He was like, it's insane. Like it's rough.
No,
so, like rough meaning like it's in your face and it's not going anywhere.
At some point, people begin to recognize what's right and what's wrong, and the use of other people's culture is wrong. Period.
I found the article I was talking about. Just so you guys know, I found it.
Real quick. So, Coach Rich over there, leave things alone. Okay. So if we were to leave things alone, let's say let's go back to the point I made earlier. Let's say the Indians weren't the Indians and it was the Cleveland Polacks, but they had a proud tradition. And oh my gosh, we were winning World Series. But Polacks is a pretty freaking derogatory term. Should we just leave it alone even though it's called the Polacks? Like, do we just leave it alone because that's how it's always been? And we just keep having the derogatory name out there because it's been that way forever, even though now we know Polak isn't exactly the best word to describe a Polish person. Like, or like the German national team, like the German national team. The German.
I guess I'm just a stats guy. I mean, so so I found the article. It was produced by the Washington Post. Let's see, in 2016, January, March, April, May of 2016. So, and don't get me wrong, it's not like they polled 2 million Native Americans. It was a poll of 504 across every reservation, every state that had a reservation. It was a random selected.
That's a piss poor. That's a piss poor amount of people.
So,
that's like polling your kid.
Well, I know, but it's still. I mean, you can't. But realistically, 500 people gives a decent idea, in my opinion. 7 out of 10 said they do not feel the word Redskin was disrespectful to Indians.
If you polled 500 people from Kentucky, do you think the Confederate flag would be considered offensive?
No, but yes, you can't use that. They did different reservations. No, you can't. No. You can't. You can't even align that in the same aspect of it because you're using a state that you know they love the flag.
Right.
That's
so they
obvious they're going to love it.
It's
obvious.
It's framing. You're framing the results the way you know. So the fact that
you're framing the result. They're not. They pulled it across different states. You're assuming, and it is a good assumption. I'm not disagreeing. If you went to Kentucky and Tennessee, everyone down there would be like, "Ain't nothing wrong with the flag," hate not whatever. You're right, but for the majority in Ohio, people are going to say it's a terrible situation. Pennsylvania, New York, why? There's no reason to have that flag. All it represents is slavery. But you have to have a poll. There's got to be some statistics. It's the Washington Post. Invalid. I mean,
No,
prove me wrong, AJ. Prove me wrong. I mean,
they have been so they have been called into question numerous times. So it's a good. I understand that, like using that as a reference point.
Right. I mean, that's all I can use. But
I see what you're talking about. You are taking it as a randomized poll,
right,
amongst people.
Right. You can't just pick one. I mean, yeah, I'm sure if you went, so if you pulled the Blackhawks from wherever reservation they're from, and before walking in, you knew 90% of them hated it because they've all been protesting it for 10 years. Obviously, you're going to get the numbers that you want to put up on the Washington Post. But this was stated that it was different states. It was polled in 504. They could have sent out 10,000 flyers. And out of those 10,000, only 504 responded, for all I know. I don't know. But I like facts. I don't like assumptions. We're assuming most Native Americans hate that image.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. It's an assumption. You know what I mean? It really is. We are assuming that. And back to, I'm not saying that the image is right. So everyone that's watching, please note that. I'm not saying it's right, but with our topic of discussion, it's give me some facts. That's it. You know what I mean? That's if most Native Americans don't mind it, then it goes. Then I guess it stays because most don't mind it.
Well, I think
if a bunch of people hated the New England Patriot thing, they'd probably change that, or the Browns. If 20,000 people from Ohio signed a petition to change the Browns' name, they're probably going to change it. I mean, I'm just saying, it doesn't matter if someone hated the Bears name because they were sick of looking at a bear, they got enough people to sign a damn petition, they're going to change the name. I mean, why wouldn't you?
You're right, where you have to look at where the pressure is coming from. Absolutely, you have to look at where the pressure is coming from. But what my problem is at some point you have to understand that some things are right and some things are wrong. That using the culture of other people is wrong. We should know that by now. Using somebody else's culture.
But it's only wrong because you're saying it wasn't monetized toward them. Because in 1971, if the Blackfoot or Feet tribe said, "Hey, you can use it, we love it," because even then that was an era of the Redskins that was a great era for them. So in 1971. The Blackfeet tribe or the Indian reservation president, whatever I just read, they said, "Hey, every game we win, we're going to kick you $100,000." And they said, "Fine, that's great." That's what money is power. I don't care what you say. You can say, right. Everyone has their price. Every tradition does.
Money comes from a place of privilege. Deciding whether something is okay or not comes from from privilege itself. Minorities have never been in privilege, so it can be, framed and molded around, very, very.
It's back to that. So you said minorities never been in privilege, right? There are minorities that have privileges. No. Are in privilege. I said that.
There's a difference from where everything started, and your starting point is different.
And you're not wrong, AJ. I'm not disagreeing with you, just so you know. So I got to call this out. That way everyone knows where I stand. I'm not saying it's not a slur, because I think it is. Yeah. I do. The name is not a slur. But if they were the Washington Blackfeet, would we be having the same conversation? There's a great question. If the Native American, that guy, Walter, whatever it was, did the drawing, said, hey, here it is. I love it. I want you guys to use it because it represents power. If it was the Washington Blackfeet with the same logo, are we having this conversation about the name of the Washington team?
I would assume so, because I think Chicago's been under fire too, as the Blackhawks.
I mean, like I said, AJ, I just want to make it very clear where I stand. I don't want to get misconstrued because this is a touchy subject. That's just what it is. And you're right, Sammy. There are obvious things in this world that need to change. A Confederate flag, there is no need for it. I don't care how much you like the Dukes of Hazzard and jumping over dirt mounds.
Yeah,
the flag means what the flag means. They flew the Confederate flag. They fought to keep slavery. Why do we need it?
We have finally figured that out as a people, that's not okay. We finally figured that out, like 100 years
Right.
It's absolutely, and I think this is going to be another one of those things. Listen, guys, Native Americans are people. They're people with families and culture and suffering, and to trivialize their entire existence for the use of sport is ridiculous. And that's what it does. And that's what we're arguing here.
But sport is what brings us together a lot of times. That's one thing. It's one thing you got to remember. Sport is kind of baseball is America's pastime.
It is.
Sport is a foundation that our country, I won't say built on, but it was right there helping alongside. I'll tell you that.
Sports have definitely introduced a lot of social justices, especially with like Jackie Robinson. If it weren't for Major League Baseball, shit. Oh God, yeah.
I remember that. I remember that very, very closely because it was right next to my work.
You know what I mean? And just saying, sport has been part of America in some way, shape, or form since its existence. I don't know what they played in, on July 4th and all that fun shit. Maybe they were playing backyard volleyball. I don't know. You know what I mean? They may have not. Maybe they were using rocks and throw them at each other and call it tag. I don't fucking know. Oh, I don't know. Sorry. Got me a little amped up. I apologize, guys. Yeah, but I'm just saying, the purpose of sport, especially a team sport, is to become unified. Like football is the best example. You cannot win a football game with one person. You cannot do it. It is just not possible. You might be able to win one game because you're playing a powerhouse squad versus 12-man deep and they're both running both ways. Yeah, there might be a game like that. But as a whole, you cannot win a sport by yourself. There's unity, there's pride, there's respect. And that's that. Like I said, that's my issue with like the Blackhawks. It's about unity, pride, respect. They've been a powerhouse hockey team for decades now. They really have been. They haven't won it every year, but they have been.
So would it be appropriate to if using a culture and a people, if that's appropriate, as long as you're paying homage to the positive portions of their existence, why is it only Native Americans that get used in that? Why don't we have the Rochester Russians or the Charleston Chinese men? Because why the Kentucky Koreans? Because the case can be made that those armies have very, very large victories over, and they're very, there's a pride in their culture, and you're just paying homage. It's not. Why?
Because negative connotations to those people. Like Russia. Like, what are we dealing with right now with Russia? That's why we don't have Russian.
Negative connotations to Native Americans.
Negative connotations. Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Those are kind of obvious things, though. But when this was done, it wasn't that obvious. And I'm not saying give them a pass. Do we need to evolve? Yes. But we need to evolve in a way that makes sense. And I don't know what that is. Genuinely, I don't. You know what I mean? Like I said, there's a right and a wrong, obviously. But that's the biggest issue we have in this country. And the gray area is trying to be shattered right now. Most people want it to be the right way or the wrong way. That's it.
The only way
most people want that way right now.
The only way you'll ever appease
everyone.
Yes, there is. The American Football Club of Washington, D.C. The Basketball Club of Cleveland.
Freaking soccer style ass.
Yeah.
That's how you would please everyone. That's how there would be no negative connotation.
You can't even please the panel. with that?
I don't even think. I mean, I get what you're saying because it just simplifies everything. Yeah, but then someone plays bat. Kembe Mutombo. He came from Kenya, right?
Yeah.
And he played for the Denver Nuggets, the Congo. So he might be pissed that it's the American Basketball Club of Denver, and he's like, "Well, I came from the Congo. I want it to be different." I mean, then
Yeah,
what? You're not right. I want it to be the international basketball because we scrimmage over in China once a year. I don't know. There's just no way to make it everything perfect in the world, and there's and it's not even about the crybaby status because are there crybaby? Yeah, there's always someone that's going to complain no matter what you do. It's just you try to appease the world, but it's just never ever going to work. And like I said, we're trying to get rid of the gray area. At least that's what they're attempting to do. And the gray area is a good and a bad thing. Because sometimes it works out well.
Terry Henton, who comes on the show all the time, says all the time, and I think it's absolutely dead on, that change only occurs when people are uncomfortable. So if you are uncomfortable with these name changes, then that means we're heading in the right direction. That's the only way positive change will ever happen. Because if everybody's comfortable, we'll never change a damn thing. And I think we just are finally at a point as a people. We're finally at a point as a people where we're realizing that just because one group of people was overtaken by another doesn't mean you can disregard any pride and any culture that they have, because that's what we've done for years, not just here but everywhere. You know what I mean? We've always downplayed everybody else's culture because Americans are superior, and that's what we've done to Native American. We have trivialized them. They've become become entertainment, and they're people, man. They're people. And I understand everybody has a little bit of Indian in them. Everybody does. I've heard it a million times.
Should I be mad that I went to the casino and there's a slot machine called Luck of the Irish and a little guy dancing around on it like an idiot? I didn't read that. Except Fighting Irish come under fire every couple of years. I didn't even read that. But yeah, I'm sorry, AJ. I didn't mean to steal your thunder there, buddy. No, but I'm just saying, it's never gonna be right.
It's never gonna be right. Stop using other people's culture like that. I think that's
so. Then you have to go with what Tom is saying.
No,
you have to.
Animals aren't culture. Cartoons aren't culture. Honestly, you know what? Sports teams they should just
according to Nickelodeon, you're wrong. Because SpongeBob is now gay. So if you want to tell me that cartoons aren't culture, you gotta call Nick. You might want to do the Nick at Night episode. I'm just putting that out there.
Why is that so upset about that?
So I'm not upset about it. I don't care. If that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. I'm sorry. So I do care. I don't. My problem is cartoons are cartoons. The cartoon is a damn sponge who lives in a pineapple under the sea. Totally unrealistic. Yeah, I think it's almost a shot at that culture, if you want to call it that. However you want to look at it, but why do we bring in this is crap my son watches? And it's not that I want to make sure I say this right because I don't want to sound wrong because I always say dumb shit and it just comes off wrong. So I want to know if you want to be gay, that's up to you. I have no problem with it. Whatever. It's just what you do.
Saying
don't put shit in my mouth, Tom. Don't make this stupid.
No.
First off, don't. So I'm not trying to offend anyone in any way, shape, or form. What I'm saying is, don't put something in there and make it. This is a cartoon that's been around for years. Don't sexualize it. There's no reason to.
That's exactly.
There's no reason to do it. You know what I mean? There's no reason to do that because you're interjecting on. I mean, how old are you when you watch SpongeBob? I know there's people out there watching
did.
the damn show at the age of 30. Don't get me wrong. But most of the kids are between like the age of 5 and 7. Let them enjoy the moment of SpongeBob being an idiot with Patrick running around flipping hamburgers. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Don't sexualize it. Again, I like I said, I'm terrible at explaining things. I just don't.
You're right. You're right.
You know, I again, no problem if your sexuality is your sexuality. That's up to you. However that one, I don't know. I don't get into it, but I'm going to shut up before I just bury myself. I feel like, to be honest with you, I just don't do it to cartoons.
Yeah, there's no reason to sexualize it. I agree with you 100%. There's no reason to shoehorn in any sort of politicized anything into those cartoons. You want to put that into the later stuff, the preteen stuff and all that. That's fine because they're going to understand it. But let kids be kids, where it doesn't have to be.
So,
kids.
Great.
So do you not agree? So do you not agree with? Do you not agree with Sesame Street explaining the George Floyd murder then? Because that was political. When Sesame Street went on and explained to children what happened with George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter movement. So Sesame Street, the quintessential children's show, went on to a news network and explained to children what was going on so they could understand. Do you not agree with that?
I do not. No. I'll tell you why.
Because they're little kids.
What does that do?
That's up to parents to do that.
Right. Yeah, that's up to. I had to have that conversation with my son. Now you got me fired up. My son at 11 o'clock at night, I'm watching George Floyd, this whole thing unfold. All right. And it's my fault for not turning off the TV and letting it on there. I want everyone to know I don't want to shield my son from the shit that's happening outside. He needs to see it. But what I don't want my 6-year-old to do is come up to me and ask me why a cop killed a black man. And it's not that I don't want him to ask. So I'm trying to figure out how to say it, because it was heartbreaking to have that conversation because he's 6 years old. That should not be something a 6-year-old should have to worry about.
That's the problem.
There's no way in hell my 6-year-old should be worrying about running around outside, playing baseball, swimming in a pool, riding his bicycle, playing Xbox. Not worrying about why a cop killed a black man. That's the problem I have with it.
It's
all it is creeping into it's absolutely ridiculous. It
is up to parents to sit down and discuss these things with their children. Now, should these things be completely ignored? No.
But
I guess
time and place.
The more appropriate manner of handling something like that is, instead of tabloid and headline hunting and trying to give children what I call the dinner table ears, like when your parents were talking to their friends and you're listening at the dinner table and you're listening in the next room trying to get all the information. Instead of doing that, what you do, Sesame Street, SpongeBob, all these cartoons that are young, is where you take a moment and you teach kids that everybody is okay.
But what if you don't have that parent?
That your choice of what people are okay and what are not should be based on things other than skin color, than this, than that. But you need to judge people by the way they are and be kind to one another and love one another. But you don't have to go into all the things that are going to happen when they become an adult, because they've got years and years to learn about that. And they've got all their years through preteens that they're going to learn that, because they start that sensitivity training in like 4th, 5th grade now. Okay, so they're going to have plenty of time to get introduced that. Children,
here's the only problem I have. Here's the problem I have. Here's the problem I have. Growing up, when we went to school at Lakeside, I'm just going to use the word, you heard people being called fag, queer, all this stuff, 9th grade, right? Like, every one of us probably did it at some point. I'm pretty sure if we would have had a cartoon that was like, oh, this dude's gay and I like him, so I'm not going to do that to another kid. I'm not going to make fun of him because I see on TV it's okay. You know what I mean? My favorite cartoon character is gay.
How about
what's the problem?
How about instead of incorporating his sexuality or his race or his disability or anything like that, you just teach people to be kind. Period.
Because a lot of
you don't have to. You don't have to.
those type of parents.
But what matters? Their sexual. What does it matter what their sexuality is?
Because when you're in ninth grade, when you're in ninth grade and you get called a fag every day, that kid wants to kill himself.
Again,
okay, the kid that's getting called
kind, that's not an issue.
But some kids aren't taught to be kind.
Well, that's where assessment come in. Be kind to everyone.
You're always gonna have assholes in this world.
Yeah,
they're never gonna go away. They're never going to go away. And unfortunately, you're right, Tom, in some aspect, because there's always going to be a kid out there that is on with a single parent or no parents in a foster home, and they don't know what's going on, and they learn things the hard way. But that's life. That is life. Okay? But bringing it in on a national level makes no sense. No sense. No 6-year-old should have to worry about that right now. In any way, no, 6, 7, 8. When you're like 9, 10, 11, that's when you get into stuff like that. Should I go talk to my son right now about the birds and the bees? Is that a good idea?
Not what we're talking about.
It is because you're talking. You can't bring one topic in and eliminate other ones because
we're talking about tolerance here. We're talking about tolerance.
Yeah, so you can be tolerant of everybody, and that's what you teach is to be tolerant of everybody and to judge people by their character, not by their color, their creed, or anything else. If people are nice to you, you be nice to them. That's what you teach at that level. And then you can incorporate what kind of differences as people grow. But the only thing I want to say about that George, so regarding the George Floyd thing,
so before you get into that, what are you guys more afraid of? Are you guys more afraid of SpongeBob going and holding
I'm not afraid of anything. No. I'm not afraid of anything.
It's not about it's not appropriate or not.
Okay, so are you more on the fence of SpongeBob's holding hands with another dude and hugs him and maybe gives him a kiss, or are you thinking that they're going to show him just getting railed on TV?
No, I'm thinking at that age, little boys hold hands and hug and do all that shit already. And nobody ever bats an eye at that, okay? Because nobody at flag football, nobody watches little boys running around holding hands and hugging and shit because they saw each other and says, "Hey, do you wonder if that kid's, if that kid likes boys?" No, those are just little kids being little kids. That's what they are.
Marcus brings up a good point. When you don't talk about it, it creates a divide. So, I think we're doing a good job here.
Right. I mean, like I said,
there are steps in the process. And the police officer thing, okay? Here's what I want to say. We don't want to have those conversations. We don't want to have those conversations about African Americans getting killed at an alarming rate. We don't want to have that. And luckily, none of us have black sons so we don't have to have that. We don't have to have that conversation. Not yet. Not yet. But there are a lot of people out there that do. There are people out there who have to sit with their 5-year-old son because he is a big kid and let him know that, you are black and you have to act a little bit differently. And you have to make sure you're not coming off threatening because you can get shot for that. And that's just where we are as a people. And we're working to fix that. Police. There are more, and I will say this 100 times until I'm blue in the face. There are more good cops than bad cops. The ratio is ridiculous from good cops to bad cops. I will always stand up for police officers. I personally believe they have the most difficult job in the country. But the teaching moment here comes, I think, for even you, Ryan, with Owen. When those questions come up, it sucks to have that conversation. Just like it sucks for me to have a conversation with my daughters about drugs before they're even in junior high because of the world we live in. But that's a good time to let your son know that, you know what? Some people don't like people for bad reasons. But I never want you to be that guy. Because if we as the generation, if our generation of people does that, and we all make it a point, just like our parents did, because everybody on this panel right now judges people for who they are, not what they look like. If we keep doing that, the number of assholes tighters down to the point that maybe by the time we get older, it's not an issue. But we have to start hammering that. And it does become earlier and earlier. Because you know what? The unfortunate truth is, I've heard children as young as 6, as young as 7 say the N-word. So hate still is hate and ignorance are still there. And this gets back to what you're talking about the sexuality too, Tom. So if you want with that portion of it, you don't need to be in a sexual relationship at that age. So really what you need to be teaching is those words are not appropriate. We don't call people the F word. We don't call people the Q word. We don't ask people if they like boys or girls. We let people be people.
Correct.
That's how you have to address that. You don't have to you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to treat everybody like they're an adult. And I think that's what we're trying to do. So
here's my thing. So the reason I think that this SpongeBob thing is a good thing is because it shows that being outside of what people's accepted norms is okay. So like I've said, I mean, I've got a disabled son, right? So think about
20 years ago, I would have agreed with you all day long.
So what I'm saying is SpongeBob now is different than a lot of normal, like cartoon characters who are considered quote normal. So my son isn't considered quote normal by many people. So being able to show this tolerance for people who are different than you, who might not feel the same way about certain types of people, might not have the same orientation. Hey, you can walk and talk. There's another kid who can't. You can be tolerant now because now people aren't like you. People aren't going to adhere to the same beliefs as you. People aren't going to adhere to the same moral code as you. But that's okay. That's a good thing, because we're all different. And I think it's good. Like right now, Paw Patrol just introduced a disabled dog. Is that inappropriate? You know what I mean?
No, because listen,
children have to be exposed to that.
Disabled? Are you disabled from birth?
Yes, he was.
Okay. Are you sexualized from birth? Are you in a sexual relationship from the time you're born?
No,
you're not. When you should get into a sexual relationship is up for discussion. That people can go back and forth on that. But what we can all agree in is nobody should be in any sort of sexual relationship at 7 and 8 years old. You probably should maybe at least wait until you're in junior high, right? So if a show is aimed at those kids, you don't have to bring up that the sexualized relationship. He can just be a guy, a dude that acts that way. Because let's be honest, the way he acts doesn't change anything.
No, it doesn't.
You know what I mean? And for everybody who's worried about this, because I did look into it because I thought it was going to be stupid. This is just something that they put out on Twitter. It's not like storylines or anything are going to happen with that. So it's not like they're going to go overhead. But you don't have to introduce sexual orientation at that age. What you do need to introduce is kindness. Like just because a little boy is effeminate doesn't mean you call him the F word. Just because a little girl is a tomboy doesn't mean you call her the D word. Just because a little boy is in a wheelchair doesn't mean you call him the R word. That's what you teach. Because what you teach to be good people. If you're not teaching your kid to be good, to be a good person, SpongeBob is the least of your worries.
Yeah.
Sesame Street is the least of your worries. If you're not teaching them to be good, then you're just a shit parent.
Yeah.
Embrace it. All right. It is 10:33.
I agree with you, AJ.
I've had my blood boiling now for a solid 30 minutes about everything. I'm tired.
It's
baseball today.
This is a good conversation.
I mean, it's a great talk. It really is a good conversation. But it is good to communicate back and forth. even with the audience coming through. Like Marcus, I really appreciate. I've been reading all your stuff, Marcus, coming through. I like I said, I have my feelings. I have my natural instincts on things, and if you can change my mind, I encourage you to do that. I do. I genuinely do. I know, I'll never teach my son to see color. Not one day in his life will he ever understand or will ever get, the opportunity to see color, quote unquote. But there's certain things that just have to wait. Will he know what it means to be gay, or in my perspective, and it might not be the right way to say it, but whatever it is, but teach kindness.
That's it.
Don't sexualize things. Be kind to your neighbor, everyone else.
Be good to people, and if they're different, that's okay. Just try and learn it, and that's why
the rest will come.
Color. We can't ignore color because color exists, and color is what makes us, cultures and stuff like that is what makes us different. That's okay.
And maybe I probably said it wrong. So what I genuinely mean, he's going to obviously see there's a black man over there, there's a white guy that's Puerto Rican. Right. I'm just saying we're not going to judge him based off of the skin color. My son will never judge Tom because he has a man bun. I don't, it's just, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a knock. I'm not like, no, I'm not. That is not judging you. I'm making a statement, Tom. I'm saying he will never judge you for having a man bun. That is just what it is. It's never going to judge Sammy because he's got curly hair. I'll never let that happen. You know what I mean? That's just what it is. It's just
down to you got to teach your kids.
Right. Teach kindness because the rest will follow. That's just really what it is.
And the make that right decision. In those cases, where George Floyd and stuff like that is happening, raise your kids to be brave enough to speak up. Yeah. If stuff's going wrong and people are being that way, they should know that. They should know that it's okay to be that guy. But understand that cultures are different, and that's the best way to learn is to ask. Is to learn about that and embrace one another, because that's how we learn, and that's the only way we're going to get anywhere.
Right. All right, now it's 10:35. I'm done. I quit for what is today? Friday. I quit on Friday. I'm done. I rehire myself tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.
All right, guys.
Wake up. Yeah. Yeah. So Tuesday, 8:30, same time, same place, like always. So, good to talk to everyone. Great conversation. Hopefully, we had so much more to talk about. Genuinely.
Oh my God, we've got an entire
show. Right on two topics the entire show. So sad some people will never know. Never. All right, yeah. So I'm done. I can't do it anymore. I want to go to bed. I can't wait. Let's go to sleep.
Tuesday,
so Ryan, I'm out. Yeah, we got Njoku, Brown stuff. So good to talk to everyone. I'm getting out of here. Have a good night, guys.
Have a good night.
Later, everyone.
Rebound taken by Iguodala. Iguodala to Curry. Back to Iguodala. Up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. LeBron James with the rejection.
Cleveland, this is for you.
Come here to cleanse your soul. Yeah, 4-4 and go. That other getting old. We got Samurai and Tom. This is a sports octagon. Sports for forever and beyond. Spending with Samurai and Tom. From the puck to the glove to the pigskins high. Share all of your thoughts, just let it ride. Down the baseline in the bleachers, or you wanna get denied. Yeah, share all of your thoughts, just let it ride. 4-4 and go. Come here to cleanse your soul. Yeah, it's 4-4 and go. Come here to cleanse your soul.
The Browns Super Bowl contenders.
Hey, listen, when we start talking about what wins Super Bowl, we talk about talent. The Browns, they have the talent. They have it.